Hey, do you remember that one time when I proposed to you and you didn't say yes? What up, South Bend
Hey
and
guys,
America and the world?
the whole world.
We're coming on today in honor of 15 years together.
Yeah, this Wednesday will be our 15th anniversary,
Yeah, man.
which seems wild. Where did that time go?
It's not, yeah, it's definitely wild.
Yeah.
Not as wild as the story we're going to be sharing with you today. And that is our origin story.
Oh
Dun,
boy.
dun, dun. I guess that's the wrong music for it. I don't know what music would you put to it.
You got me. I
Dun,
don't
dun,
know.
dun, 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 dun. No. So, where we begin with this is super funny because we literally go to church right across the street from the birthplace of our relationship.
Right. So we actually met at Chippewa Bowl, right across the street from the church we go to.
Technically.
Technically. Wait, what? Oh,
Technically,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So the story kind of unfolds as it goes on. But Corey ended up coming into town. I'll let him tell you about that.
So the year was 2006, and I was getting ready to go to Iraq for the first time. Therefore, I was going home on pre-deployment leave. We'll leave that to the imagination. So,
I guess that's the if you know, you know.
yeah. So
I didn't know, but
I had a plan, and it very much revolved around the fact that I'm probably going to go die. So let me just go back home and while out. And so night one, I get a call from Kristen's cousin, Ashley, who was a really good friend of mine at the time. And she was like, hey, do you want to go to Chippewa and go bowling? And I was like, yep, I'll go drink some beer and throw the ball down the lane.
so at that time I worked at Chippewa Bowl. So I was actually working that night when Corey and Ashley came in.
Yep. So immediately upon breaking the plane of the door, I noticed the super hot girl working behind the counter and was like, yep, that's happening tonight. So decided to go have quite a few adult beverages to get myself in the state of mind to be able to talk to this girl. And then finally ended up going up to the counter to ask her what she was doing.
He didn't. He didn't. He swears he did. But I asked him. I was like, hey, what are you up to tonight? Now, at this point, I would have been working like super late. I don't know what day of the week it was. I honestly don't even remember, but I usually closed. So I would be there anywhere from like midnight to 2 or 3 in the morning. It kind of just depended on the night. But either way, at that time, we'd still not really been churchgoers. I never grew up in church. I had a friend, that I would go to church with, but really that wasn't my background. Like that wasn't a thing for us at that time. So after, getting off of work, then we might go out and party and do whatever it is that we were going to do, right? So I asked him, I was like, hey, what are you doing tonight? You should come over to my sister's house. We're having a party and this and that. You can come over and hang out.
I was like, yo, girl, what time you get off work?
I'm really glad you didn't say that because we probably wouldn't be married if that's what you said. There were a lot of guys that would come into the bowling alley and talk like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
That's my future husband right there.
Oh, dear.
Man. So I asked her what she was doing after work and what time she got off and all that stuff. And then, ended up kicking with her that night, which was cool because, like, I knew, like, right from the jump that she was my wife and the mother of my children. Like that was pretty ridiculous to me. So, backstory, I had just gotten out of a 3-year relationship that I was like, I'm done with this crap. I'm so over relationships. I don't want to be in love never, ever again in my life. And here we are, night 1 of South Bend, and I meet this beautiful girl and was just, so this and fill this in. That night, our niece, well, her niece at the time, Emmeline, had come out of her room at one point, and it just was just me and her at this time. Like everybody else had gone or something or whatever, but Emmeline had come out of the room and just wanted her Aunt Kristen, and came and gave her a hug and everything, and I got to witness Kristen interact with her, and that was the moment I knew. That just solidified everything in my mind. That was like, this is my wife. Like, it was crazy. But everything inside of my flesh was like, nope, not doing this, not falling in love again, ain't no way. So I had one goal in mind and tried everything in my power to accomplish that goal that night. And lo and behold, she shut me down hardcore. And that was very upsetting because I had a massive ego at that time. Boy, did I have an ego. Like, just being a Marine, being back home, like, man, I'm somebody. And this girl would not give me the time of day whatsoever. So after that night, from my perspective, it was like, we're done here. That was the first night back home, wasted. I didn't get anything accomplished that I wanted to accomplish, and I'm done with this chick. This is not going back to her. So I wake up the next morning. I can't stop thinking about her already, and it's ridiculous. It's making me so mad. And so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing for that night. I'm trying to line things up, figure out who I can get with, who I can go party with, whatever. And nothing was lining up, so I figured I'll just wait till nighttime. I'm the only one that's home on pre-deployment leave. I'll figure out, who to go kick it with later in the night. So I started calling people later and, trying to line stuff up. And again, like, nothing is working out.
So one thing that you have to know about this story for it to even just be another like confirmation that God's plan was always for us to be together. But so our friends group, so Corey is 4 years older than I am. But I have an older sister who's still younger than Corey. But anyway, so I'd always hung out with older people. So most of my sister's friends were my friends. So for our friends that know Tom, he was kind of in the middle of Corey and I. So Tom and I were really close friends when we were in high school. So Tom and I hung out all the time, but my cousin Ashley, like, we were all one big friends group. And so even as teenagers, like, there was a house that we always went to party at. Well, there were two, but one of the houses that we always went to party at was like his best friend. And so it was always intertwined. But through all that time, Corey and I had never actually hung out together.
Never had a conversation.
No.
Never crossed paths.
Ever.
Always in the same spots and never interacted.
Yeah. So all the same friends.
It was crazy.
But we'd never been in this. I mean, we probably actually were, though, in the same place at the same time.
Oh, constantly. I can look back and remember, like, seeing you.
Like, times. I don't remember seeing you ever, but we always were, like, in different areas.
For me, she always caught my attention, but she always had something about her that was, like, not available, bro. Not, like, she was, I don't know, man. It was something about it. Like never a girl that I was going to go pursue, like, back then. Like, she was always so cool. She was always, just, like, sitting down, she was not the girl that was like going out after people. She sat in her spot, and it was like people gravitated towards her, which wouldn't work for me because people gravitate towards me. Like, that was I'm like, I'm not going after her. And there was always, distractions. So it just never happened until it was supposed to. I guess the way I look at it.
And God's timing in it all. So it's just really cool how all of our friends kind of overlapped and we all knew the same people and stuff like that. And it just had never been the time.
Yeah.
So a really funny story that I think I've told Corey maybe a couple times, but there was one of the times we were leaving a friend's house that we would all party at that's right down the street from his mom's house. So back then we used to walk everywhere, right? So it didn't matter what we were doing. We would just be walking, right? It didn't matter the time of day or the time of night really at that point. So there was one week I was leaving that house that we were partying at, and I just started walking. And so I'm walking down the street and it dead ends into his mom's house. But I didn't know that at the time. Like, I didn't even know who he was at that point, right? So then I'm walking and I'm like, oh my gosh, that house looks so creepy. Like, I was scared of that house. I'm like, the one where you go across the street, like you don't walk down the same side of the street. I don't know what it was about the house though, honestly. It was just like a regular house. But it scared the crap out of me. So I wouldn't go down. I would not go down the street. So one of the first few times that I went over to his parents' house after we were already together, I was like, whoa. No. There's no way that is that house. I'm like, I'm not going in there.
Oh my goodness.
What are the odds, right? You know what I mean?
That was one more of those things where it had to be the Lord's way of being like, no, you stay away from that boy until it's time.
Stay away from that house. Don't go there.
Got something for you, but not yet. Back on track with that current timeline.
Fast forward.
Yeah, fast forward to that part of the timeline. So nothing was working out. Like, man, I could not get a hold of anybody, could not lock anything down to save my life, except for going to hang out with this chick again.
Because remember, this girl was so cool that people want to hang out with her. I don't know if you guys remember that part of the story. I'm just saying. So if there was something happening, it was going to be what I was doing.
You're so ridiculous.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so it ended up like, man, there was nothing else to do but go hang out with her again. Except this time it was going to be at her best friend's house. And so that, there's so much to this part where I guess like a couple big things to point out was this is my first time meeting her best friend. So that was tough. This is my first time meeting her best friend's dog. That was a wild part of it. So stupid. But also my first time meeting my future brother-in-law.
Oh.
Yeah. So all of these factors together, like, and again, I'm knee deep in the Marine Corps at this point. I very, very egotistical. I have one thing on my mind and one thing only, and I am after that. And then we have Kristen's brother in the picture, who is her brother. Like, it's his job.
And we're kind of like best friends.
Yeah.
So
like almost twins.
We're not twins, but we might as well be. Not because we look so much alike, because he's like 2 feet taller than I am. Legit. But we've always been really close. It's just one of those things.
Now, disclaimer. I love him to no end now. Bubba, if you watch this, like, man, you my boy Blue. Like, I love that dude, man. But this very moment, meeting Bubba, whew, man. Like I said, there was only one thing that I wanted, and that dude was doing everything in his power to shut that down and not let that happen. And boy, was he annoying me. to put it very lightly. But, which didn't matter anyway, because his sister is one tough cookie, one tough egg to crack. And so one whole night in the bag again, and one whole Kristen not in the bag again. So if I was mad after the first night, now I am livid. Man, there was nothing that was going to bring me back to hanging out with this chick again after not one, 2 nights of being shut down and literally being told you should probably go home and take a shower. It's like, what? Who says that?
I guess I did. I don't know.
Oh, man, oh, man. So that concludes night 2 of my 5 nights of pre-deployment leave. And the second night of hanging out with Kristen to no end. So there's that. Cut. Break. So third night, I wake up. I'm definitely, did I say definitely not going to hang out with this chick. Because I done wasted 2 nights. 2 nights wasted on this girl to no avail. No reward. A lot of time put in. But God had a different plan. Literally every other single door was shut down. I couldn't go nowhere. Couldn't talk to nobody. There was literally nothing to do.
If you remember what I said before, if there was something going on, it would have been with me.
So, and I'm pretty sure, I don't even know how it went down, but I'm pretty sure I went to hang out with somebody else because it was the only other option. So that's why so when I said there was literally no other door open, I say that because whoever I ended up hanging out with anyway took me to where she was at. What? What is happening here?
We have the same friends.
Still, man, it was like, what? Golly. So we ended up hanging out again, and I'm pretty sure we ended up at Heather's house again.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure. With Bubba again. With Bubba again. I love you, bro. For real, for real. I just didn't then. But no, so we ended up kicking it that night, and it was once again like it was an amazing night. I haven't said that for every other night, but it was like an amazing time.
It's so fun. Like we would have so much fun.
So much fun together, and it was just like, man, from day one, like being so in love with this girl and not understanding why, not understanding like what is going on inside of me. I hate this. I've learned so much to hate all of these feelings inside of me. Like, I don't want this again. Oh my goodness. But every single time being with her, it was just like, oh, this is so magical. Oh my goodness. And that spoke volumes because, again, you know, like she wasn't giving me what I wanted. And even not getting what I wanted or what I thought I wanted, she was giving me everything that I wanted. It was so crazy. So then that leads right into basically just jumping to the last night, if we skip all the crazy stuff with Jarvie and the so we'll backfill that a little bit.
Yeah, later. We'll have
points. No, I'll just give bullet points.
Okay.
Okay. So one, I watched her lay out my best friend because he was being loud in a neighborhood. That was like, man, I really do think I love her. She's wild.
That's true.
I like her. I like her a lot. On top of that, I got into the worst fight of my life to date with my best friend.
Do you think that's the worst one? That's going to be a later story. That's probably tomorrow's story that we're going to tell.
Okay.
Because I don't think that's the worst one.
I'm pretty sure that was the worst fight I ever been in. That was the bloodiest for sure.
That's because there was glass involved. The other story had like bricks involved. Like that's a bit of a different story. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, I remember that one.
It still involved Jarvie though.
Well, that's my boy.
What up, Jarvie?
But yeah, so that was, I think, Thursday night. So now we're at Friday night. I'd been shut down all of this time. Like I was done. I had to pack anyway. Like I'm going back to California. I'm going to Iraq. I'm going to war. I'm probably going to die. My whole pre-deployment leave was a huge L. But so at some point I ended up talking to Kristen, and so I'm like, I'm packing. You can come kick it over here. That's all I got. But I'm packing my stuff and I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go back to San Diego.
Man, I had stuff to do. You know? Like party.
Yeah. So as I'm packing, ended up getting a phone call, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Ended up getting a phone call saying that she was on her way over, but she was not driving due to her root beer intake prior to this moment. She was being driven to my house, where at this point I had come outside and she eventually, like, I mean, we kind of just, I don't know, holding each other, like missing what, kind of like thinking about we're about to be missing everything that we just had over the past week. And she ended up telling me how she felt and ended up confessing that, she really thought she was falling in love with me. And I honestly, man, like, I really think that was so crucial, because I really think that if she had not told me that, if you hadn't told me that, I don't think that I would have bought in as much as I did. Or basically because, this whole story for me is like this duality of my flesh and my soul. Like everything in my soul, everything in my bones is like, this is my wife. This is the mother of my children. And everything in my flesh was like, screw that girl. I don't like her. Because she wasn't feeding my flesh, man. I couldn't have articulated that then, but, this being a God-sized story, I get it now. Yeah. But I really think that if you hadn't poured out your guts then I wouldn't have poured mine back, because my walls were thick. Like my guard was up something fierce because of everything that I had been through with the last two relationships. I just was done.
That's because you thought you knew what love was.
That's right. That's legit, man. That's 100% legit. But because she poured out to me, because she came clean and had told me that, she really thought she was falling in love with me, I was able to return the same and let her know what I had been feeling, and just like, man, all walls down, everything come crashing down. And it was like, I'm pretty sure this is happening. But then it came the question, so what now? I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. I'm getting on a plane in the morning and I'm going back to California.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Iraq. So it became a conversation of, for one, she was 17 at the time. So for one, it was like, we got a couple months that we can't talk about this, or we can't, officially say that we're together, I guess. even though like everything about her was adult, like she had a job, she was paying bills, like she was infinitely more responsible than I was at this point.
That wasn't hard.
Let's
be real.
She was far more mature than any girl that I had ever messed around with. Like, so for her to come into my life, it was like, this is a big deal. There's something very different about this chick. So we talked about, not making anything public. I always had rules with girlfriends where it was like, I don't even think we established prior to me leaving to go back to California that like we were boyfriend and girlfriend or anything. Like it was just like, if this is going to work, whatever this is, then, don't mess around on me. Whatever this is, like don't cheat on me, even though we're not really together. And I don't know, I'll see you in several months, I guess. So there's that. So that's really, honestly, man, this is coming to a conclusion. Like we're bringing it in for a landing because I only got to talk to her, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Throughout the whole 8-month period. Wrote a couple letters back and forth and got home. The very first weekend that we had, like we got home like midweek or something. So the very first weekend that we had to get cut loose on Liberty, like we had a 72, I think. And I flew her out to San Diego. We got a hotel room. And that very night, I proposed to her on the balcony overlooking Coronado Island out there in San Diego.
I had no idea that he was even going to do that.
So I had 8 months to think.
It wasn't even a thought in my mind, though.
I had 8 months to think. Like it was basically prison.
Yeah.
It was basically prison. I was trying to think of a different way to say that, but it was prison with guns. But yeah, man, and definitely having my life flash before my eyes multiple times, having things blow up around me, having bullets zing by, like it was like there was a lot of things that I was rethinking in life, and one of them was I really think I'd like to be with that girl. I really think I'd like to take a shot. Like if everything that I was feeling inside me is true, which I believed that it was all true. Like I believed what I felt in my guts and my bones, man, that she was my wife and the mother of my children. It was like, I'm going to take that shot. And so I got home and got a shuttle out to San Diego, went and bought some new clothes, bought an engagement ring and a wedding band. And had every intention of proposing to this girl when she came out. And honestly, like until we had this discussion way later, I never had the thought that she would say no. Never in a million years. Like I thought, like this is happening. I'm marrying this chick. Like this is going down. Fly out to San Diego, check. Got a ring, check. Take her out to the balcony of the hand-picked room overlooking Coronado Island. Beautiful sunset, check. Get down on one knee, check. Pull the ring out, check. And then
I didn't say yes.
Hey, do you remember that one time when I proposed to you and you didn't say yes? Mm-hmm. Straight crickets, y'all. Straight up crickets.
Oh, dang.
I had just been through a whole combat tour, and I don't think I had been that scared throughout that entire time. So it felt like 4 hours. 4 hours later. It felt like forever. And then she finally said yes.
After he asked. So I gave him a hug, and he was like, so
Oh, I forgot about that.
Was that a yes? Is that a yes?
And then it was all crying like, yes. So that was pretty dope. I didn't think there was just a brief moment there where I didn't think I had this. That was the first time I actually had a doubt of like,
wait a minute.
did I misread everything? Did I just ruin my whole life?
Yes, you did.
Nope. Made it all better. It was great. So that is the beginning to our wild story, and it only gets wilder. But I think we've taken long enough for this origin story. Thank y'all so much for watching this epic origin story. Stay tuned for the next episodes for the rest of the week, and we love y'all.
God bless y'all. Did I do it right? Did I get it?
We out.